of Arcarrival, and I'm here with my best friend and colleague, Greg Dick. How you doing, man?
Yo, what's up?
So, how is everything today, man? You doing well?
Yeah, not bad, man. Working away, finished at 2. Yeah, usual stuff.
Yeah, I totally know what that's fucking like. So, today is the very first episode of the Hour of Arcarrival. I know it's a great name, but hey ho. So, we're just on the brisk of the EP coming out. I thought it'd be a great idea to do this, obviously. And I'm filled with amazing ideas, as you already know, Greggy boy. So,
yeah, he doesn't really know.
So, I am here just to talk about you, Greg, okay? So, first off, before absolutely Arcarrival and all these bands and everything like that, what was the very, very first, maybe even song, but I'll accept just a singular band that really pushed you, like severely pushed you towards thinking, hey, I love that, I want to do that?
It's funny. Well, the first band I ever listened to in metal was As I Lay Dying, as we know from previous stuff that we've done for content. But like back then, it was As I Lay Dying, Bullet for My Valentine, Slipknot. Even don't even want to admit it, but Bring Me the Horizon, the first album. Like all that kind of side of things. I used to go through around school. Like I was a guy who was he was in metal and stuff as well. So we used to go past each other doing a low, and we'd like say each other's name in the corridor.
Is there any specific song that you first heard that you were just like, damn, that's what I love. That's just completely changed your whole perspective on like music?
I don't know, there's loads. I think it's when I got introduced to metal. Like, I didn't really listen to a specific genre before then. I didn't even listen to music much before.
As understand, your dad listened to a lot of rock, like old school rock, same as like my dad. Am I right in saying that?
AC/DC. He used to listen to AC/DC, Guns N' Roses, you know, all Iron Maiden and all that stuff. So they're the old school metalers, if you want to call them.
No, they're the OG metalheads, you know.
Aye, man. I like even growing up, my dad listens to a lot of 80s and stuff like that. So like when he started growing up, he was listening to like kind of 80s stuff as well. So but even when I was like, I grew up with all that, but even before listening to metal, I didn't even listen to much, and didn't even admit to what I listened to because it's just horrible. Nobody needs to know any of that.
Okay,
so
but now that you've kind of broken that, you have to say it, man. You have to. Come on.
No.
You have to.
Really something I want to say.
The people want to know, man. The people want to.
No, they don't, man. They really don't, because they'll be thinking of two images. They'll be thinking of the dude that used to have the short blonde spiky hair to like the dude with the long locks now nearly at his ass.
Come on.
Nah, I can't admit that, man. I'm sorry. There's no way.
Okay. So let's move on from that then. Okay. What age were you before you properly knew that you wanted to be in a band? Like, regardless of when you did get into a band, but when did you think about first going into a band?
I think I was 15, because like
fucking specific.
The school band. What?
I was fucking specific. Jesus, it's like I was there.
No, I'm just guessing because I was in a. Oh well. I was in a school band, but it was technically a school band. It was like people from Stirling and stuff. There was a guy in my year, he played guitar, and he asked me to play the drums. I played drums at the time. I played drums at school and stuff. I went through drums at school, but it was he asked me to do drums for them. I'm like, oh, why not? So when I was in, I was like, I wasn't really getting a feel for it. And like at the time, we had a battle of bands at school. At my school, Alva Academy, believe it or not.
We both went to Alva Academy. There's going to be a lot of Alva jokes, most likely.
You didn't need to admit that part, right?
But weird thing is,
Anyway.
the older generation, you know, they're nothing compared to the newer generation. Me.
Your ego, by the way, that's just gonna go into. It's gonna evaporate into nothing if you keep going.
Okay.
Anyway, what like the problem was like back then, like I got a drum kit and stuff to learn all the school drum music and stuff like that. And then when I got asked to be in a band, like it was such a terrible situation because I felt ill. It was like a flu or something, and I had 3 weeks to learn the full set list. And I was like, oh shit. So I said to the guys, I said, look, my dad works shifts, and I am ill as fuck. So then they got somebody else. So that was it. And then after that, I was like, I didn't really get a feel for doing the drums for it. But when I tried to start my own band up after that, it didn't even go anywhere.
What was the?
We didn't even get as far as that. We didn't even have a name.
Oh,
that
really?
was how bad it was.
My God.
Yeah, man, that's how bad it. Like that, I wouldn't even classify that as my official first band because it didn't go anywhere. And even the one for the Battle of Bands stuff, I wouldn't even classify that because I didn't get a feel for it. So it wasn't until like I think it was maybe about I was only remember a couple of years later. I think it was close. I think I was already 18 when I first joined my first band. And even at that, it was only supposed to be for guest vocals. I got asked to go along for a practice, just to learn a couple of their songs and invite me on, blah blah. But then at that point, I knew how to do lows because, as I said, I went around school, passing my pal in school and corridors and was do the lows and their names and blah blah blah. And like that for first practice is when I discovered my highs. We were doing we're going to cover Carry On by Parkway Drive, and you know you've heard Carry On.
Yeah.
It goes right. So I did that, and as a high, and everybody just stopped, and I'm like, why did I do something wrong? And they were like, you just did a high. I'm like, fuck off. And they're like, no, be serious. Now, I used to listen to Bring Me Horizon's first album, trying to do like high screaming, and you know, I mean, you're like, it sounds horrible, and you just don't want to admit that
you honestly, you sound like you've been in the toilet for like 15 minutes, and you're like sweating bullets.
Pretty much. So.
Like, you know,
okay, I wouldn't go as far as a girl screamer, right? It was just sounding like a dying cat.
I had a high pitched voice when I was younger, right?
Anyway, so shut up. But so like I was like, oh, like that. I didn't believe them. So they're like, right, we'll do it again. So they done it again, and I'm like, nah, no way. So that was it. From there on, like I learned how to do highs. Obviously, I did practice it in my bedroom, listening to Bring Me Horizon. That's such a bad and admitting such a bad. Anyway, I'm not going to get into that because
no, it's like this is all the stuff that's made you like you, and I can say
just
being in a band, like being in a band with you, it's don't get too big headed. It's such a privilege to be able to hear.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
You know, I'm just here telling the truth. I'll call you a wanker in about 5 minutes, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's how we roll.
That sounds about right, yeah. But it's like I'm being like having video calls with you and like discussing like the EP and stuff like that, and certain ways to do screams and stuff like that, and like how we were on video call for most of like the EP. Just like, and I was just saying, nah, you're doing something
wrong. The video
wrong.
call were just like actual phone calls and
it was just stuff like that, you know. And I remember towards the end, the Human Condition. Sad, I'm not going to give away too much about the EP because you know it's not out yet, and it's we would love to be able to give all the juicy gossip about it, but I'm not gonna get into it. Yeah, not until after. But when it came to like, we recorded one song, the very first song, which I believe was Trigger, and we were kind of like, okay, this is good. We had to do it again. I'm not gonna say why again, but by the time we got
it was just a pin up. We had to do it again. So
yeah, it was.
I had to do it again because stuff that like that was my first time.
You were quite nervous. Like you could feel the nerve.
I mean, like because I've never. If it wasn't for you and Mag talking me through how to like work Reaper and You know, like
Yeah.
I had no clue
Yeah.
because like at school, like I didn't learn any of that. Like I didn't go to college, so I just went straight into a job. So like learning all that, it was mental. But it turns out we had some technical difficulties with the song, so I had to do it again.
Yeah.
But we got there, because like
Oh yeah.
you taught me through it again.
I mean, I think the second song we recorded was "Count Havoc Among Our Sins." Was I right, or was it
Yeah, it was actually,
Rebirth? But when we were at "Count Havoc Among Our Sins," I remember listening. Like this was before we had to redo Trigger, and I can just remember you pelting them out like. And I didn't know what was fucking happening. I was just listening to it on my earphones. I'm like, fuck, what? This is amazing. This is insane. Like, this is the power that we need. And then we got to the chorus. And we were kind of like, shit. We just...
Yeah, that's the mental part. Like, from all the ideas we had to do all those choruses and stuff like that, like, doing them in 2 separate houses and, like, trying to fit everything in and how we did it. It was just mental, right? Like I don't know if you agree, but like it is mental how we did it. Like it was hard, but you know, like we got there in the end. So
it was nothing like I've worked in a studio before. You know when we went to Phil, the guy who did work on amazing guy. I would highly recommend him to anyone looking to record on a good price for a good sound. But throughout our recording, we've kind of found our own sound. It was a sound that you just kind of listen to it back and you're like, that's definitely us. Like you're kind of confused at the moment because you're like, will people listen to this? And you're like, fuck it, I'll listen to this. This is amazing. And when we got, as I was saying, through chaos. Sorry, Count Havoc Among Our Sins. It's so much easier to say chaos. But when we got through Count Havoc Among Our Sins, it's hearing your screams, and then I think you tried to lay down something for the chorus, and it just wasn't pushing and pushing. We were discussing it, and nothing was really, nothing was fully fitting because I don't know what it was. We've never really done singing properly in our songs, except from War Torn. And War Torn, we really... we had a lot of help from Phil to be able to get the singing to what it was. So when we were on the video call, I think I said, let's just take a break, let's discuss things. So we went outside of our houses and stuff like that, and we were just discussing it.
It's like when we had a fag, it was more like it was like the brainwave moments, eh?
Yeah, like that. I think half the recording was us sitting there smoking like a bunch of old fannies because we were just sitting there like, oh, yes, this is very good. Yes. But when I remember when I hummed something to you, and we came back in because you were like, dude, that needs to be done. You need to record that right now. So I recorded it, and actually I think the video cut off while I was doing it. I think I could be wrong.
Did, actually. No, I did, because when I was like, wait, has it done it? I can't even call him back because I'm going to interrupt the recording on his side.
Yeah, I can't take you into the booth while I'm recording in case of any like phasing issues or anything like that. So I kind of have to leave you outside of my room. I just got up and go, did you hear that? And I can't fucking hear you, obviously, because all my shit's through here. But I think I don't know if because I did it differently through each song. I don't know if I just played it to you or if I rendered a tiny bit and sent it to you, something like that. And when you'd heard it, you were like, that is it. That is Count Havoc Among Our Sins. That is kind of what we needed from this. And we just built upon it, and it just became this conglomeracy of insanity. And like half the lyrics I believe weren't even meant to be in there, but it was in there, and we had to take out like 6 fart tracks and shit like that. It's...
Mac had so much fun doing all this. Eh?
We did. I wouldn't give it back.
I mean, Mag, when we had to send all the tracks over to Mag was like, oh my god, you've got like 90 odd here, and oh yeah, and then he would go through them all and like, oh, that's why, yeah, okay.
I mean, we didn't do a lot with vocals until I'm going to say a lot because in Chaos, sorry, Count Having Among Our Sins, I believe it was 30 vocal tracks. I believe.
We actually go as the more we went on,
Yeah,
with the EP, the more tracks we had.
I think we started to. We were so linear because that's what we were used to. This is when we were recording the first two songs.
Yeah.
And then when we got to the last two, we were kind of like, actually, let's just try this. Let's just try this, and it became. It's nothing like I've ever listened to in my life, and that is just really cringy in saying, obviously, but it's just blown away. And to be honest, it would not have been in any way done without Mag having his insane knowledge behind his like all of his different plugins and stuff like that, and making us sound like fucking fairy angels all the way through. You've got to tell me.
Make you sound like a fairy angel.
Well, I mean, I don't want to brag, but you're like the one dragon. Like you're just like all the way through. So we never actually sat down, and I've never actually asked you what was your favorite moment from the entire of the recording.
I don't know, like I think it would probably be because Human Condition we recorded that last. Obviously, it's a favorite of mine. Can't have Among Us is a favorite, but like Human comes second for me. And I think it's just because the amount of feeling into the last song. It was like, this is nearly the end of the road kind of thing. It was mental. The amount of time and everyone that attained us and all the video calls, everyone, it was mental, and like it was such an experience, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like, this is something that we've never encountered before, and the fact that we managed it, we actually conquered it because we couldn't be in the same room as the three of us in the same room.
Yeah.
It made it harder, but it was such a challenge that we managed. You know what I mean? So I think it was more to do with the fact that we achieved and completed the challenge of being able to do it individually, recording. Because like when you were recording the vocals, like for the choruses and stuff like that, and then you're sending it over to me, and then I'm putting on over the screams, and then we go back to the video call, and we're like, right, we could do this, we could do that, or for like we can. Right, I'll do this and you do that, and let's try it this way. It was such time-consuming things. For the choruses was the hardest part.
It's literally it's our baby. Hey.
Yeah.
And
the thing is, like, going from the studio for the previous EP we were going to do to doing this one, I think it's got a lot more feel. It's got a lot more meaning to it. It's like something that we've achieved in our own homes. Especially one of the members have no knowledge of how to record. So learning off you and Mag was.
It was a lot of shouting. A lot of swearing at you. That's what it was. It was me like, fucking not that button. Jesus Christ.
Call it motivation. Just call it motivation.
Yeah, it's tough love. It's just tough love. That's what it is.
I think that we achieved we completed the challenge of being able to record in our own homes was what made it for me. Like.
Oh, I completely agree. It's, as I said, it's entirely like it's our baby. It's taken 2 weeks for it to grow 20 years, and it took us 6 weeks to record the entire thing. So it's old and grey now, and we're just waiting for it to come out of its hidey hole. Like, hello, son. How are you?
You just can't go with it doing a silly voice, can you?
No, it's part of who I am.
You're flat sometimes.
I think the one day I'm not doing something stupid, neuter me. Honestly, it's not me.
Well, think you're an imposter and you're like flew across the world and you're just giving us imposters saying, yo, what's up? And you're like, who the fuck are you?
No, it's like that meme of Spider-Man just pointing at himself. It's just like, huh? It'll just be like that for an hour. Right, this is gonna be a risky ask, because I've said myself, and you've also agreed, that we won't give too much of the EP away, but we're gonna try and wiggle some stuff out. How it is more of how this certain song felt. So, going off what you said, because I've got to pretend like, hey, half the time I don't know what any of this is about. So, the human condition, you said, which is the last track of the EP. Also, that's not bad, not like thingy knowledge. That's been released. It's actually out there on many magazines that is the on the track listing. So I'm not.
Yeah, that's actually the track listing is actually been released.
Yeah, though I'm not going to get penalised for that. It'll probably be Jay that comes around and says, "You weren't meant to say that." I'm like, "I'm sorry, man." That'll be what happens, I bet you. But human condition, what made it so emotional for you? Like, maybe can you tell us a bit about the story without giving too much, if that's possible?
Oh, that's hard.
Yeah, just
basically the lyrics reflect off of a story that can mean for like anyone else can relate, if you know what I mean. Like, you have a story that you can relate with the same lyrics. Mag has a story with the same that can relate with a story with the same lyrics. So it's kind of like it's a personal hit kind of thing. So the way the lyrics are, it's like, well, I've got my own story, what it means, and then you've got your own story, what it means. It's like, so telling the story about the song is basically somebody's, at least one person out there will actually relate to. You know what I mean? So
no, I completely.
That's the best I could say without giving it away.
So you said that there's a little bit of a story towards the human condition, but what about Rebirth? What about that song?
Okay, try not to give it away, but Rebirth has it's I think it's more like conspiracy, but there's a story there where it's
I just want to say for the record, if there's a sudden cut in the audio,
is that your internet shit again?
No, it's that I've cut Greg out because he's been speaking too much and he had let something go. So Greg, continue.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay, right.
Yeah. So Rebirth.
It's basically like it's someone who's done all this bad shit, and they're trying to, like, for example, it's more like fantasy conspiracy. I can't. This is hard to explain, by the way. It's like a fantasy conspiracy. So it's like someone's like murdered. Okay, we'll go with the story. But someone's like murdered someone. They've been put in jail, but they want to like they're trying to rebuild themselves. Or it's like, okay, murdering. Okay, this is gonna be really. I don't know. Yeah, this is the part where it gets cut.
Actually, that made quite a lot of sense. Yeah. So what you're saying?
It's like someone who's done. It's like they're trying to rebuild their personality. So the story in itself is in the title. It's
remaking yourself, right? From
remaking yourself, yeah.
Yeah.
So all that gibberish before, you just cut that out.
Oh, that's all getting kept in.
That doesn't make sense.
Oh yeah, that's getting kept in. I just like hearing you squirm.
Is it fuck?
So
I didn't sign any contracts, so it means I get a say and you didn't get to release this.
You don't have a say in anything, Buchacho.
Oh, really?
Okay, so now about the last song that has been unreleased, Trigger the Silence. Can you?
Trigger's really angry.
It is very not safe for work. Like, if you bring this song into a church,
the whole song is masked by one word, and the song is very explicit. But the way this word is put in the song, it's masked by their current situation, and it's just pure anger. So, like, the whole world's going through this pandemic, and what this word is, whoever listens to this song will know instantly what I've just meant.
I know exactly what you mean right now.
You know what I mean. Mag will know what, Jay will know what I mean.
There's about 50 there's about 50 instances of this word in this song. So if you're still confused when you hear it,
this is the most repeated word I've ever said in a song since I started my music career. And it's very angry.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to do with, it's nothing to do with, like, without giving this away, it's nothing to do with a human. It's to do with the pandemic. And the most angriest word I could think of was this word. So this word is literally blasted right through the song.
So this word is basically a synonym for COVID, essentially.
Pretty much.
You're basically.
I mean, like.
I can't even give away too much now as well.
No, you can't. It's too hard.
It's difficult. Whatever this song is about, how it makes someone feel, that's a better way to put it. It's kind of mirroring what's going on right now. Maybe how like you feel about the current pandemic. Is that what you're trying to say?
Exactly.
Sweet. Okay, now about the one that you can talk about. Monster in Me. What was going through your guy's head?
Did you just say Monster in Me?
Yeah. No. Okay. Count happens among us sins.
No, wait a minute. No. Monster in Me. There's 4 words I can say to that. Take that shit down.
No, that's just comedy gold.
Just for the record, to the world, the Monster in Me was not me in that recording.
It was also not my singing. I want to say that.
Exactly.
I believe that it's part of the history, man. It is part of the history, and it's difficult to let go of that. I think you'll agree.
Yeah, you're in Mag's history, not mine.
Aye, but it's
that
like.
Sounded so selfish.
What about your that band you had on Spotify? What was it called?
Whisper Ferocity.
Yeah, Whisper Ferocity. I wouldn't go and check it out, to be honest. I'm not a big fan.
Hey! That even Phil would say horribly. That was just a nightmare for him, I think.
Like
we're not going to talk about that, right?
No, but like that's part of your history, and I think you might not be upset for a lot like throughout your life, but there will be like a little bit where you might look for it and you'll be like, oh no, it's gone, and you can't compare how good you are now to how you were. And I think that's one of the greatest things why Mag and I want to keep Monster in Me up, is because you look at our new stuff and then you look at that and then you're just like, damn, that's a lot freaking better than I expected it to be, which is fantastic. You can see how much of like Mag and I have especially.
Remember my first gig. In fact, remember my audition. I was given that song. I was a couple of days before, but because at the time I was still doing 12-hour shifts, I basically blasted that in the car from my house to Good Vibes, and basically tried to learn it as best as I could. Those are good memories, man.
They are probably some of the fondest memories I've got of arcarrival is when you first joined. Now I can't wait to get rid of you. No.
Right, that's it.
No. To be honest.
Name it up. I hope you cut that out, you bitch.
No, in all honesty, I am so proud of not only I mean constantly every single day we see bands disbanding left, right and centre, big bands, small bands. Man. It's completely heartbreaking. And yet we are actually growing in this environment. I don't know if you feel the same, but I feel kind of guilty. Because you see us, we're actually getting bigger. We've grown about 10 times the amount, And yeah,
except there's only 3 of us. Still looking for a bass player, everybody, if you're...
Bassists beware! But do you feel the same way? Do you feel kind of like guilty is the best word. Like you're
I don't know, man. Like it's
profiting off.
I
We're
think
profiting off this.
every band's in a different stage of their career. You know, like
Mhm.
we're all different at different stages. You know, so like if it was for the best, or if it was like the other parts of their life was they were busy with, they couldn't carry on, or if it was just like a mutual agreement, or they had the fun that they gained and stuff like that. They just decided to call it quits. I think it's just like it's heartbreaking to see them with bands disband, but I think it's just like all depends on what their story behind it is. I mean, I wouldn't say I feel guilty. I find it shit that those bands are breaking up,
but you know, I can't stop feeling guilty about almost profiting off of I suppose people's decline, if that makes sense. Like a lot of people aren't listening to music right now, and we've literally been told we should quit our
that's just bullshit in itself, man.
It is. I mean, all I've wanted ever since I was really young. I mean, I've been playing guitar since I was about 5 years old. You know, I've been singing since I was about 8, maybe even younger.
You know what's funny?
Mm-hmm.
What's for like? I wanted to be an actor at one point in my life. I was a kid when I wanted to be an actor, and I was put in a main role in primary school. I was primary 5. Yeah, primary 5. I had a week to learn this entire main role. So like kind of like the arts, the music and arts and acting.
Yeah, I've been in the exact same situation.
I wanted to do something in that one of those three. And then obviously music brought itself forward. I kind of tested myself. Like I only done 2 hires at school. One was music and one was graph comm. Graph comm is obviously going to take me into architecture if I ever wanted to put myself through more pain of education and go to uni. But music taking its place because whatever gave me the best grade is what career I would take. Now at that point, obviously I had the school band and stuff like that, and I gave up the drums. I did eventually. Like it wasn't until I was I think it was 18 when I got that guest audition kind of thing with my first band, and ended up being in the band.
Was that Whisper Ferocity?
No, that was the second band. Oh god, the first band had 3 name changes.
Oh Jesus!
At the time, they were called As Faith Fades.
Oh yeah.
Right, so then like it wasn't until I was 18 until I found the music career path. And my dream has always been since I was 15, even since I was 15, I just wanted to play in front of millions of people at a festival, just fucking on that massive stage, and just fucking it will happen. Regardless if we're in fucking bubbles or some shit.
I mean, I'm quite pissed off that venue had started bubble pits, because I'm like, that was our idea. That was our fucking idea.
Yeah. The worst part is, I think it went ahead, and even the vocalist was in a bubble. How the fuck does that work?
I don't want to imagine, because vocalists are usually in their own little fucking bubble.
Hey, I'm not. Except when I jump over barriers and make mosh pits.
That's very true. Very true. But do you remember the biggest gig that you've ever played? Biggest crowd-wise. What was that like? I think I know what gig it was. I think it was it Nice and Sleazy's?
Arcarrival, no. Actually, Nice and Sleazy's. Yeah, actually, our very last show was Nice and Sleazy's this year, and that was packed.
But 400 people?
No.
Was it just under?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't that. No, I think it was like 100. Maybe.
No, it was. It was meant to thingy 100, but we'd gotten double the capacity. I think that's what Paul, the promoter.
I can't mind. It was from
It was like 250.
It wasn't 400 anyway, you exaggerating shit.
It was like 250 at least. But
Minus
anyway,
200,
what was minus Greg's big ego? But what was that? What did that feel like?
Big ego? What's that supposed to mean?
I don't know. I'm just speaking shit, right?
No, you gotta elaborate. Come on.
Okay, well, do you know what ego is? Do I need to explain it to you?
Well, it's on my fucking car.
That's very true.
God, you can cut that out. You can cut that out.
That's definitely, yeah, that's definitely gonna cut out. I'm gonna either bleep that.
Of course, I know what ego means, you fanny.
Okay.
I'm
that
talking to it right now.
That whole.
I mean, Yeah. So this interview, this podcast is going to be about 20 minutes long because we're going to cut shit.
Yeah, I was like, you know, how halfway through, I was kind of like, why shouldn't we should just start this again? I'm actually half tempted to ask if you want to start this again and like, because the amount of outtakes we'll have, it's not going to be.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot cut out of this, by the way. So going back to.
Yes.
Going back to the question, and don't say over 250 because it wasn't. It wasn't even 100.
No,
it was packed, right? Just say it was packed.
It was a
That's
lot.
all they need to 10.
Just hurry up.
Anyway.
How did you feel like that? How did it feel being in front of all those people? How did you deal with it?
It gave me more adrenaline, to be honest, because like going back to the live question and answering with Jay. Mines during the summer there. He asked a similar question about like you look like a different person on stage. So like the adrenaline just like if you get a feel for something, you just go for it. Kind of like if you've got the adrenaline there, you just switch off and go for it. You just like belt your heart out, whatever, right? So that's the kind of feeling I get. Like I'm a completely different person on stage. Like. As soon as like you and Mag of all people have seen me, like my very first gig, I was shaking like it was unreal. Like, I was nervous as fuck, and I still to their last gig, I still get nervous. But I think it just gave me the more adrenaline, kind of just gave you more of an atmosphere kind of thing. So it makes you want to go metal even more kind of thing. So.
Well,
you get that energy from the crowd, so
I can say right now, I can back you up 100%. Like, whenever one of you guys do something even tiny that I found funny, I will do something stupid on drums and just like actually same gig. I got the entire crowd to shout Mag.
Oh yeah, because Mag couldn't
tune his guitar.
To tune his guitar,
and he was taking his sweet.
What happened with that? Because I think that wasn't his fault.
No, I don't think we were helping either. You know, because
no, we didn't know. It was a shame. We were a bit stressed.
It was a shame, but you know, I think that's one of the things that arcarrival do so well is we like crowd interaction, especially nowadays, isn't a big thing like in the underground scene yet. You know, we push for that. Like, you know, if it's in a drum solo, I can say from my point of view, in a drum solo, I try and get people to clap. You know, I try and get people to join in, and I hear people screaming like woo, you know, all that shit. But you know, when all the music's playing, I can't actually hear people. So you've got. I've actually always wanted to ask you this. What's it like being up at the front? Like, can you hear everyone? Is it just when everyone's just sitting there roaring and just like clapping and just giving you absolutely belting everything? What does that actually feel like? Because I can only see them.
It's quite phenomenal, man. Like, as I said, like I'm a different person on stage. Like, if you could put me in a meeting with 20 managers at my work, and I would say fuck all, right?
Yeah.
Not that going meetings. I'm just an example, like
just you know, don't hold them up to that, you know.
Like even like if I say a communication meeting right at work, and like this is
a communication meeting and you don't talk, you did it well, son.
How ironic, eh? So like if they're going for I would sit there, I would say fuck all. You put me on a stage, you give me a microphone, I'm a different guy. So like experiencing like the crowd reacting to you and stuff like that, it's a phenomenal feeling, you know. It's like it's insane. It's like I can't even really explain it well, man. It's mental.
Is it just
Like
this massive feeling of euphoria? Like it's just pure ecstasy. Like you just look upon them and you feel fulfilled.
Aye. It's like you're already living a dream, but you're in a small venue kind of thing. You're not in that festival. You're in a venue, and you just keep going. You just give it all you got, you know, like, and you still get the same feeling, I would assume. So.
Well, I can say there's this one time. I think we were playing Ivory Blacks, and I had my really long hair, and you had straightened it beforehand. You know, that's what Greg and I do. We straighten each other's hairs before, you know, gigs and stuff like that. That's just...
you really?
Yeah,
cut that out.
No, I straighten my hair, right? I'm happy with that. No, it's just like a pre-show ritual, if you will, you know. But like
green tea and straightening hair.
But
so explain a rock star these days. We drink green tea.
Green fucking tea. Pinkies up and everything, you know.
What happened to the drugs and rock and roll? Yeah, that don't exist anymore.
Yeah, it's all herbal tea now, bitch. What was I trying to say? Yeah. So one of these times, I had when I had my really long hair, and I started to sweat, and then the sweat had started going into my eyes from the hair, and it blinded me. I think this was around about the time when I ripped my forearms, and I couldn't see anything at all. And that was the very first time when I squirted water on myself, and I just wiped my eyes, and I looked at you, and I just saw your big mug just going like, huh? I mean, because I was just like, I think that was in that moment. I can safely say I imagined I was at Vakin Festival, playing in front of 10,000 people, and honestly, in that brief, like 12-15 seconds, I felt complete. It was amazing. But
that's an amazing feeling, like.
Okay, so
as I said, like the difference between being in a meeting and me being on stage, it's just matter.
I mean, even from being off stage to on stage, like off stage, you're shaking. You know, you see, me and you are quite similar off stage. Like we get really bad. I think I'm a little bit, tiny bit worse when it comes to stage fright. But and I really wish I wasn't. But like we shake and everything. I have to throw up before most like shows and after shows, which really sucks. Because you know, when I was 16, 17, 18, that never fucking happened, and I was so you know, I would get really nervous, but I was a performer. And then we had that big gap where we didn't really play many shows, and then that came along. But we kind of seek solace in each other.
Mag just sits in the back of the car with his earphones in, and that's him being nervous.
Yeah,
he zones out.
It's the weirdest thing, because we're just sitting there literally saying every 5 minutes, I'm freaking out. We don't look like we're freaking out, but we turn to each other and we're like, we're freaking out. Yep, we're freaking out. Yep, definitely. Like, I'm not even a drop of sweat, but we know we're freaking out just from the way we look at each other. We're like, you freaking out? Yeah, I'm fucking freaking out. You know. But Mag, no, he's a different breed of creature. Like he just puts on, he's just sitting there like, tapping on his legs and stuff like that, you know, and he's just drumming along, and you're just sitting there like, who the fuck is that? Where did we find him? Where did we find this monstrosity of a person? How? Because I actually feel quite jealous, because he's got such an amazing way of looking at going into gigs and stuff like that. It's fantastic. By the way, I think this call might be ending in like a minute, so if it does, we'll just re-record. Okay, is that alright?
No, that's fine.
Because we've got
started down,
yeah. But
half it's getting cut anyway, so it's alright.
Exactly, and it needs to fill like an hour, so we're still, you know, cutting and pasting shit. But like, yeah, he's just, it's so unreal how he can just like drop out of it, you know, and he gets stuck in his own head, and you're just like, damn, man, that's pretty freaking cool. Like, I don't tell him I said this, but like I've looked up to I've looked up to Mag for many years as a musician, because like I'm good at theory, but I'm not an amazing theory musician. And I went to college, and I know I can pick stuff up maybe quicker than him, but it doesn't mean I'll be as good as him, you know. And he takes a lot of stuff into consideration that I never would when it comes to music. Like, I think very openly about like orchestral stuff. Like, I love doing the orchestral stuff, as you know, and everything. But Mag, he just, like, damn, when he's on it, he continues for the next 5 days, and it's like a never-ending circle. It's honestly such a joy to watch him work. If you ever get into, if we're ever able to get back into a place to record together, I would highly recommend just watching him for like hours and hours upon end, just practicing and playing along to himself, because it's just, he just zones out, and it just becomes this whole thing. It's like me and him jamming, but it's only him. It's unreal. It's utterly amazing. But enough about Mag.
Aye.
I could talk about Mag all day. Not all things good, not all things bad, but I could talk about him all day. So,
that's cute.
And you know, I'll only give you like an hour or two, you know, that a day. Okay, so this is another question I've always wanted to ask you. War Torn, when we were going through the whole process of recording that, talk me through that whole thing from your point of view. You've got to.
Meaning?
Like the whole beginning, like the demoing of it, to you going into the studio, to, you know, apparently thinking that I should be on the fucking Voice, you know, shit like that, you know, just the little intricacies, and maybe not talk about certain someone, right? But just the whole process, like, talk me through, like, how you were feeling through start to end of that single, because that was your very first single with Arcarrival. It wasn't a whole new genre that you were like exposed to, but it was a new sound. It was a new texture of music, if that makes sense. So I want to hear your thoughts on that, if you elaborate.
I was good. Just kidding. The thing is, like, War Torn was already instrumentally written before I joined Arcarrival, so it was basically he's already had the title, but my dad tried to change the title, and then it didn't work because the story behind it didn't work. But the story behind War Torn,
yeah,
like, it was quite mental. It's like it's about a prisoner. Not a prisoner, it is, but it's about a soldier being captivated. Well, here goes the speech impediment.
The speech impediment has arrived.
Oh shit! Prison. So basically, it's like they are going insane from being kidnapped and captivated, whatever. But the whole process, like being in the studio, like it was, because obviously it was the first single released with me in it. It made me feel more excited about it, because Monster Me was just not.
It kind of felt official. I must say, when we released War Torn, it felt official that you were in the band and you were there to stay, if that makes sense. Because it's very scary when you get a new vocalist, new drummer, new guitarist, new anything, because you're like, okay, this person might not stay forever. They might find a reason, or they might not agree with the musicality, which is, you know, fair enough. You need to do what you need to do for the band. But when we were recording War Torn, I remember just listening to you screaming, and I was like, fuck, this is what Arcarrival is beginning. This is the true beginning of Arcarrival. This is what Mag and I envisioned from the start. We never had the right vocalist, you know. I mean,
You had one vocalist before me.
Yeah, and now, hey, I'm doing cleans for some reason. I don't know why.
Because I can't sing for shit.
That's very true. But like being able to be in a studio and like I don't think you specifically realize how charismatic your screams are. Like when I remember when I just heard War Torn, the guitars and the drums were all done. It was all good. I was, like, this is awesome, cool, yes, amazing. But as soon as I heard you screaming to it, I was like, no, this is what makes arcarrival. This charisma that shows that we will become titans of this industry because of how we proceed with our image and our sound. Like that was very apparent to me from the get-go. And like the drumming was the same that I've been drumming for like ages and ages, but and it all felt the same until someone up in the greatestness of heaven, if there is such a thing, blessed us with your vocal cords.
Oh, thanks.
Oh, you're welcome. And I mean, I've said this to you day in, day out. I've never felt more pride than I watch you headbanging in front of me, when I'm on stage, and I feel so much pride knowing that I am backing you guys up. Like, it's the greatest honor of my entire career. And I can say career because I have made a career out of this. I've been paid for this shit.
The thing is, like, from my first band, the second band never went live because we couldn't get a stable lineup.
Yeah.
But from the first going from the experiences from my first band to you guys, the first band went through quite a few lineup changes as well. But it was like only half was moving. That energy that we have of arcarrival wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like what I feel on stage with you guys behind me is insane. Like you give me more boost and more adrenaline, whereas before I was only getting half. I wasn't getting like you all move. We all show our energy on stage, whereas before I wasn't getting that. So like having you guys behind me is amazing because and I'm proud of who I have with me on stage because it makes me go even more mental. Like I mean, before I wouldn't. In the first band, I don't think I've started many pits, and I didn't really. When I first had quite a few gigs and for starting out, like I was a statue. I wasn't moving. My foot was on the monitor, and I wouldn't move.
You were only half mentioned that fucker.
But like, I would have to move them on. I don't even think I was headbang much, but like even from the first gig with you guys, like we all headbanged, and it was insane. It was amazing, and it just like from that then on, it was just our energy grew, and our stage presence, like that's what we always worked on. And like you guys actually brought me out of shell because I hadn't been on stage in 5 years.
Yeah, I remember a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah,
these guys actually helped boost my confidence again, which I really appreciate because I never just like I wouldn't even think of jumping my fucking barrier and starting a pit with something.
I mean, it'd be kind of difficult for me to jump the barrier and make a pit, while drumming, but we can try it next time.
I mean, I'll steal a floor tom and just hit the floor tom out.
You see that's drumming in a nutshell, isn't it? So. That's all you need to do to drum.
Just have Mag doing like a fast riff. I'll just do fast beats on the floor tom. And
you're just sitting there going doobie 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 doobie, and Mag's just going cha cha cha.
What we're going to if I can salsa do?
Maybe.
No. We had the last practice. We mixed jazz with. Yeah.
I've heard from a very reliable source that there's going to be a lot more jazz chords in new demos, so be prepared for that, my son.
You must have a good source because I never got told that.
Of course you didn't get told it. You hate jazz chords. But
I don't hate it.
Well, you just
Anyway.
it's because you can't scat, isn't it? But I remember when we were having, I think we were either having practices at my house or you were just at my house. We were just hanging out, and we'd went outside for a fag. This is, by the way, this is years ago at this point. So pandemic wasn't even a thing before anyone thinks that we're breaking rules.
Motherfuckers.
And we were just talking about songs, and I think it was during when we were writing Resurrection and Divinity and stuff like that. And you were like, "Oh well, I've got this idea and this idea and this idea. I've got this line here, this line here." I'm like, "So what's the story in Balamori?"
Yeah, that was Divinity, actually.
Was it Divinity? And I believe, like, tell me, like, how you used to write and now how you write, like, story-wise or concept-wise, because
That's a funny thing as well, because back then I didn't actually think of a story. I just written lyrics and thought, right, they go. Just plain boring. But when actually, yeah, it was the first time I came over to yours, and we were going over Divinity, because it's such a different song for me writing lyrics to what I'm normally. I came over to yours, and two heads are better than one. You know, like two brains are better than one. So, I mean, we got a story, didn't work in the end. But you know, like you said, you always say, you said to me, it's like, how do you write lyrics? And I'm like, well, that's what I do. And you're like, well, what's the story? I'm like, what story? not everyone had a story. Like, for example, the first band we did a song called Endgame. Brought it into the second band. On EP, that didn't have a story. It was just literally about the end of a game. It was like finishing a level of a game. That's all it was. There wasn't a story. There was nothing behind it. But now, like, ever since that day I was over at yours, like, I've always thought, right, when I'm writing lyrics, I'm going to write a story, basically. And in primary school, I wrote a really good story.
Wow.
I was very imaginative.
That happened all in primary school.
Oh, aye.
You know, you wild for you, isn't it?
You cheeky fucker.
To be fair, we're not all spring chickens anymore, right? We're all getting old. All three of us. I mean, we're all in our 20s now.
Don't fucking remind me, because I'm the oldest. Fanny.
Yeah, but at least you don't look as old as Mag.
I don't know, that's debatable.
Oh well, you've got a beard, and you know you rock it.
Mag.
Yeah, but Mag, after he cut his hair, you know, his beard doesn't look as great.
Nah, he suits his short hair.
No, he does suit his short hair, but with a beard, nah.
Speech impediment has worked on you. See, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, my speech impediment has rubbed off Mag and Mark. So yeah.
Someone's building something in my house, and I can only hear boom, 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 boom throughout my walls. It's either we're under siege, or someone's building something, and I want to say we're under siege, because that would be a lot cooler than anything else that happens in in my little village. But going back to the story, like, tell us some of your favorite stories that you've written for arcarrival, and don't tell song names or anything like that, because this way you can use, say, songs that are not out yet, or songs that have been used but are kind of being pushed to the side and shit like that. So let's not use song names, let's just use pure stories, if that's all right.
Okay, so
what's your favorites? So tell me some of your two or three, like, of your favorite stories, and elaborate on them, you know. If they're personal, or if, you know, if they're, again, like from a game or something like that, you know, just as they come, like your favorites.
Well, we have one of them was like it was actually it's like, because I write between fantasy, theory, conspiracy, and emotion. I kind of sometimes mix it all up. So when the story comes, like one of them was, it was about the red pill or the blue pill. Now a lot of people will know what the fuck I've just said there. So the Matrix, obviously, it was a story reflecting of that, like making a story about what pill would you take? Would you save your loved one, or would you save the world, kind of thing? That's what the whole story was. And putting anger, emotion, and stuff like that into it as well. It made it more of a good story, rather than just, oh, when you're just doing something about the Matrix, that's awesome. I mean, it's shit, but you know, that's what I meant to say. I fucked up there, yeah. But so, like, I love like fantasy stuff, like Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, you know, all that kind of stuff. Like, I love all that. So making stories about that, making your own story, and putting emotion and stuff like that into it, it makes it more exciting for me to write lyrics to. So it's like, as I said, I was very imaginative when I was a kid, and still am for these days. So writing, that was one of my favourites. My other favourite is something that was like, it's basically about this world always, we in a human, like our people in this world will always owe someone something, or a company or something, money.
I was going to say
money
exactly the same thing about, you know, I was actually going to think about that song.
Yeah, money is one of the world's worst enemies. There's murderers, people have died, you know, people have won money. Or kill it. It's the enemy. It's the world is at war with money.
Yeah. Well, that's the reason why, like, most money's. That's what. Sorry, that's not what most money. That's why most wars are there. Like, you know, because someone wants something that someone else has or had. I mean, that's the whole point of war. It's because you're jealous, or you think you require something. You know, it's actually a pure thing about jealousy. That might be a good concept actually for a future song, about how conflict is all about someone wanting something and someone owing someone else. That's actually a really interesting concept right there. Maybe that's keep that to the side. But what you said about the as I said before, any story we're talking about could be ones that we've not released, could be ones that we've thrown away, or could be ones that have been released. So we're not giving any details out here, but if you do find out, then good for you. If not, then we don't give a shit. Fuck you. Putting it nicely, right? Putting it really nicely. But the one about owing people, that one really struck a chord with me. And like when we demoed that song a wee while ago, it was it always struck me really hard. I remember that because we actually talked about it at length when we were demoing it. But I mean, whether stuff's come about it, we'll find out. Whether not, I don't know, you know. But it was.
If you've heard it, if people might click on it if they've heard it live, you never know.
Yeah,
but it's probably one of my favorite set of lyrics I've ever written, because of what it's about. You know.
One thing I absolutely love about your story writing is that, I mean, I'm going to take a little tiny tad bit of credit for this here, because I did tell you about it. I cannot do it myself, but I did say it was a very good thing to do, is that it's open to interpretation, you know, and no matter who's like reading any of your stories, someone will take something from it that someone else might not, you know, and that's one of the things I've always loved about songs. Like in general, like I love that about songs. Like there's always the musical journey it takes you on, but there's a lyrical journey, and if the lyrical journey doesn't take you on a different journey every single time you listen to it, then what the fuck are you doing, you know? And especially for the way you write, it's every single way. If you know, I would listen to demos, and then I would be reading the lyrics at the same time. I'm like, oh right, it fucking says that. That changes the whole story. God damn.
Dude, that's like everybody works like, oh, so you're not screaming about chicken nuggets. I'm like, no, there's actually lyrics there.
Like it's so inspiring. like to hear this story, and then I'll come at you guys and be like, oh man, this story means this, and then Mag will like, well actually it means this to me, and then you'll be like, well actually originally it was about this, bitches, and we'll be like, oh shit, like it's just it's so amazing to see that, because it's one of the big things about music, isn't it? Like the lyrics bring people together, but also I think with how you write lyrics, especially, it will bring people together about discussing how each other is. Like that's one of the big problems in the world. People don't talk, and we've had plenty of problems on our own where we don't talk about stuff, and blah blah. And it's just one of the
Yeah.
things that really making people suffer. So maybe that's one of the things that we're calling about. Maybe that's what we're going to help people to do. I've always believed that arcarrival is here to do a job for other people. I've always believed that, and I don't know if you,
Yeah.
Mag, agree the same thing, but I've always wanted to help people, and that's what I feel like with your storytelling. We're doing it and beyond. It's completely inspiring, and it's really amazing to be able to be a part of this this group, this family.
Yeah.
So with your favorite songs, now it has to come 360. It has to come all the way around. What's your worst that you've written?
The what? In arcarrival or all an arcarrival only?
No, all time. Any song, any story. It could even just be a lyric.
My very first set of lyrics.
Go for it. Go for it. What was it about?
The song was called. I'm just going to tell you the song name because it wasn't. It was recorded very badly, but it was only a demo. It was called "Tears Don't Shed, They Bleed."
Tears
It
don't
was
fall
such
much.
a bullet for my It was such a bullet for my Valentine kind of song. And you're like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Tears don't shed, they bleed around me.
I can't even remember how the lyrics go, to be honest.
Oh man,
And it wasn't
as soon as you said tears don't, I was like,
the chorus was like, "Tears don't shed, they bleed with a broken heart." Something. I can't remember a lot about it. It was just so
is that
cringy.
something actually in the lyrics? Like, did it actually say tears don't bleed?
No.
Thinking something.
It was "Tears don't shed, they bleed with a broken heart." I can't remember what the next line was.
And a bag of weed.
But that's just too fucking far, right? It wasn't about that.
No, I know. It was funny and it made sense.
Just get that cut out there, eh? You're funny.
Nah, it's too funny. But
it was just so cringy set of lyrics. It was just stupid.
I mean, I made
my first set of lyrics.
You've heard Mag and I talking about our old bassist Rory when we were in Crimson Mistress. He was one of my best friends of all time, and shit happened with him. Blah blah blah. I'm not going to get into that. I'm over it. I'm so over it. But Jesus Christ, that really hurt my throat. But like me and him we would be in computing, and I would finish all my work first, right? I was a bit ahead of the class. I'm not meaning to brag or anything like that, but I was ahead of the class. How big can this head go? Well, let's find out. So I would finish all my work, and he would finish his work. He wasn't as smart as I was, but he was pretty intelligent.
He goes gone higher.
He was a fucking moron. Honestly, he was a moron. But he was really good at computing. So we would finish first, and what we would do is we would look up like guitars. Hit my finger. We would look up guitar stores. There was this drum builder online that I used to go on, and we used to write lyrics and make prices about how much cymbals and gear would be to make a band. And one of these sets of lyrics I wrote was about the Book of Revelations. And usually that would instantly be like, yeah, damn, that would be awesome. No, it fucking wasn't, by the way. Oh, kiddo, are you wrong? It was just, I believe it was like, it was something about how terrible this horseman was. The first gate has opened. And that was always the end of the verses. So the second verse, at the end of it, it just said, "The second gate had opened." And I'm like, this is such great lyrics, until it fell out of my pocket. And one of my friends is like, "What's this pish?" I'm like, "It's lyrics." And he's like, "This isn't lyrics. This is a fucking stupid thing." And he ripped it up. And I was so upset. But now that I'll think about it, I'm like, who the fuck writes lyrics that badly that, it's now been ingrained into their brain because of a traumatic experience with someone ripping them up. And every time I think back to that, I'm like, God damn, this is why I don't write full lyrics anymore. God damn it. That, and I was never much of a good storyteller. I'm a bit too much of a romantic for that shit.
But to be fair, you and Mag have had your own little inputs.
Yeah, we've helped you here and there, but it's mainly been like a word change or like just a single phrase, at most. But
Yeah.
all of that is you, essentially. We would just be rewording what you said or giving you an idea, and then you would be like, actually, maybe that is a good idea, but let's try and like kind of mix and match them and see what it means, So like, as much as Mag and I give you ideas, the lyrics are you. And if I ever wrote lyrics that were better than you, I would probably be a millionaire. But alas, I've got 15 pence in my wallet right now, and I'm ready to fucking roll. I can't even buy a Freddo. My life sucks.
That's when you kind of life does suck and you can't even buy a Freddo.
I know. I remember when it used to be 3 pence.
But I don't remember that. I remember 10 pence. What fucking year were you born?
1999.
Right, it was 10 pence in 1999.
No, I used to get it for the.
I'm just gonna prove it right now.
No, it used to be 3 pence. What was on the Freddo might have been different, but the corner shop sold it for 3 pence.
Used to be 3 pence.
It was a dodgy one. It was a dodgy shop, so obviously it was a bit cheaper, and I believe.
Holy shit, dude. In 2017, the price of Freddos increased to 30 pence. I've not bought a Freddo in years, but that is ridiculous.
Oh no, I've never, like, it's not like 79 pence now or something. It's something ridiculous. When at that point, you might as well just buy a full Dairy Milk bar.
It's 36 pence right now. Wait, no, that's wrong. It's 35 pence. No, is that right? According to the index, Freddo will cost 36 pence by the year 2030, having risen 4.36% per year.
I like how we've just gone off topic and just started talking about Freddos. I think that's great. That's fantastic. Okay, so now on an extremely serious note, about the pandemic.
Super serious.
Oh my god, that's I'm gonna make that the theme tune. Super serious. As they're faded. I'm actually, that's what it's gonna be now. All right, that's official. So
okay.
The pandemic. Let's start off with personally. How is it?
Can I just stop you there? How long is this podcast? Jesus Christ, man! It's 5:45.
Yeah, it's only been going on in like an hour, so we've got like.
But cut some of the bits out. Right, okay.
It'd be like
half
an hour, so.
Is this the last question, or you still got a couple?
We're still got a couple, but.
Go to 6 o'clock then, because I need to get ready for work and stuff.
No, that's cool.
Let's go.
Okay, so what has happened? The pandemic. What has it like properly done to you personally? What's the disadvantages, and even if there's advantages to what's happening, what's been happening?
Disadvantages, obviously, can't go on stage, can't even practice, can't even see you guys, can't do much really. The advantages is like being able to save more money. I've actually walked to work. I'm like 5 minutes away and I walk to work now.
I just want to say, Greg is not obese, he's just really fucking lazy.
When it comes to walking, yes.
When it comes to his car,
I used to have a BMX, right? And I used to cycle at Stirling and everything on a BMX. No gears, one straight gear all the way, obviously, to BMX.
That's so
and I passed the test, and then boom. I would even, like, most people who know me will laugh at this because they still do. I take the car around to the corner shop.
Yeah,
That's
he
how lazy
does.
I am.
I can actually admit that he does
I
this.
can
Like,
vouch for it.
I can 100% vouch for it because many times I've also I've stayed over at yours a few times, and you were like, "Here, what do you want for dinner?" I'm like, "Oh no, what are you guys having?" "We're having wraps." "You want garlic bread?" "Yes." And we just drove round to the corner shop just to get garlic bread, and that's it.
So
That's literally it.
I've been more fit kind of thing. Went on walks and stuff. Something I didn't think I would ever do. Walk to work, you know.
Yeah,
So
it's terrible, you know, to walking to work. It's horrifying.
I mean, the only part, the advantage, the disadvantage, another disadvantage is like I smoked more because I was in the house more.
Yeah.
Where before, from about December-ish up until March, I had cut down smoking completely. So I would go to maximum of 7 a day. I would try and go maximum 5 a day, and working 12-hour shifts. Like getting your tea break, you go for a fag, and you have some eat. It's just habit, you know. But breaking that habit was, but then going back to the being in house a lot more. Like I say, you couldn't go anywhere. So you're like, fuck, you just smoke. Like smoke and watch Netflix. You know, I think we watched Still Game back to back, Merlin back to back. American Horror Story, you know, we've bled Netflix dry.
Yeah,
Ken, that's what we did.
I remember, like, I think it was like 3 months ago. You were like, "So I'm rewatching Once Upon a Time for the 6th time in the past."
Yeah, there it was. Yeah.
And I was just like, "Dude, you need a life." Like, I'm very fortunate to I've got a job, you know, and it's not a very
He
grand
sits
job.
on his arse, by the way. It's one of those jobs where he can sit in his bed and do work from his bed. That's how awesome of a job he has.
Like I do a lot of like I do a lot of web stuff, you know, like websites kind of thing. But like people think I'm just being like, "Oh my god, yeah, you're being like a little wank about this." No, I'm extremely lucky to be in my situation because you'll remember.
He's really just being a wank. That's what he's trying to say.
No, but last year I was, how badly was I looking for a job, and I was just not.
Yeah, I was pretty rude. That was bad.
Like I remember we used to go to the store and I'm like, there, and you're like, "What?" I'm like, "They're the people that voted."
And then you go by, I got rejected from all of them. Just clarify that, I got rejected from all of them.
Yeah, that's what I used to do. And I think it actually kind of depressed you at like a little bit. You're like, "Damn, man, I didn't realize it was that bad." I'm like, "Yep." And also, Tesco have declined me 5 times. Tesco declined me. But you know
when you had it, when you get declined from McDonald's.
I've been declined from McDonald's 3 times.
So have I. So we're on it.
I'm gonna give you a little virtual.
Although the difference I had was I did actually have
you basically started working at IO. Pretty much when you were out.
Did you say IO?
Is it OI? It's whatever one it is. I don't give enough.
Yes, it's OI.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I started working from the glassworks since I was 16. So.
Yeah, I mean, that was like.
The worst part is, McDonald's gave me, as soon as I started there, 3 weeks later, McDonald's gave me an email saying, "You've been declined." I'm like, well, that's a kick in the teeth. But then it's like a fuck you back because I've already got a job, so.
Yeah.
With you, it was just about wash, man. I really feel for you.
I mean, it's you know, my own kind of fault, but you know, like it gives a lot. Like this pandemic has given a lot of people opportunity to go to like the Open University, which I'm doing as well. I'm doing psychology, and it's like I've got friends who've gone to America and gone to London and stuff like that, and they're finding it difficult to adapt with like the whole pandemic and uni and stuff like that, and they found it completely almost soul destroying. And yet you have people like me who don't actually need to go out of their bedroom except to go to the toilet and sometimes to the fridge, you know, and I get paid and I try and work my very hardest at uni, and you know, a lot of people don't have that. I know for you it's a lot more complicated than it is for me, but you've got a lot of great things happening for you. you've got a lot of great things happening for you, but I like, as you said, not just us, but the entire of the music industry has felt this decline. I think a third of venues have
See,
closed
that's the
down now.
worst part. That whatever his post was called, right? That when that came out, they're getting wage rises,
Yeah,
but the music industry falls. But see the way I see music is music relaxes me when I
it's
listen to
a
it.
it's a common necessity, isn't it? Like
Yeah,
everyone.
so like you
needs it.
like aye, so like you go like even I mean in the past because of my shifts it was hard for me to be able to go and see big bands and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
all local bands to that matter as well, because every time like you know yourself working to try and work around 12-hour shifts for us to play gigs it was mental.
Yeah, it
I mean
was
8 hours
just
because
ridiculous
I've
to me.
started 8-hour shifts in lockdown. We don't even know what it's going to be like, but it was 12-hour shifts. It was fucking horrible. I was taking fucking holidays left, right, and centre to get be able to play them. But like music relaxes me, and and I'm sure the Prime Minister has said at one point that like the country needs that music and arts. So
Yeah,
now
yeah.
it's still on their arse, and they're still done nothing about it. But we're not going to get into that because that's not
No,
good.
yeah, that's we both have the same view on that, and we both are very aggressive about that. Let's move away from that as quickly as we can. But like,
Yeah.
what's it like? Just like what you've got a dog, Luna. What's it like walking the dog like during the pandemic? Can it be a little bit scary? Because like I know when I've went to a shop or something like that, like some people don't wear masks, and you're like, dude, this is the reason why I can't gig. It pisses me off when people do that, because that's the reason I
So what are
can't
you gonna
go
do?
gig. Do you feel any kind of fear, or do you try and take extra precautions when you go outside?
Always, yeah. I mean, it was quieter. Like we'd take her to the park and stuff, let her off to the park, and then I'll take her on a route that we normally take to walk her and stuff. So she gets let off and let off her steam, and then she gets a walk around our route. So like a routine kind of thing. So I mean, it was more quieter until they started lifting the lockdown, and the phases like as the phases started getting announced, like the park was getting more and more busier, and I'm like, that's just pish because I kind of let her off. Like she's just getting a basic walk here, and it's gonna shite because she's quite an energetic dog. She
Yeah,
wants to jump up, loves people, like yourself. She loves
yeah,
people, so
she's
she.
the absolute lovely dog. Like I love her to bits, honestly, and I
She's
you can
right.
tell.
It's like the worst part is like I had like 2 incidents with the same couple. The woman is fit for dogs, but she would walk through the park where dogs are going to let off, and you're like, "What are you doing?" And she actually screamed the second time. I'm like, "She's a friendly dog. She's going to bite you." But like,
Yeah,
it's her fear, obviously. But
I
it's like,
think
why would you
people are
walk through somewhere where the
worse than
dog's
that.
going to be?
It's a lot worse now because people have always been. I've always like. There's some people who always have a negative opinion about dogs, regardless if they're a little stupid little Chihuahua, the little rats, or like a big Labrador that's absolutely beautiful, like Luna. They think, oh my god, it's a dog, it's gonna bite. But
Uh,
it's very sad to see. But now I think with the pandemic, there's a lot more disease and infection going around, so people are maybe a bit more scared. Do you think maybe that's all the case?
don't know. I tend to try and keep her away from other people. Like when she's off the lead out, she's more. She listens more really. Now she's getting older finally, but she's a little shit sometimes. But like even during walking or during the pandemic, there's like an odd case where there'll be somebody else there. They'll be in the park, and you're like, right, come on, like try and get her away. So she isn't going near people because even people were backing away from her, and I'm backing away from people because they didn't want to be near anybody else. So.
Just going to wrap it up in a little bit. Is there anything you'd like to say maybe about the upcoming EP in 2 weeks? Anything? Or maybe about the single?
30th October, 30th of October, just in time for Halloween. It'll be out everywhere on streaming platforms. And are you ready to unleash the chaos?
That's how I would fucking do it. Right, this has been Mark and Greg from Arcarrival, and this has been the hour of Arcarrival. Thank you very much.